Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's LEAF seminar. I would like to thank Dr. Krzysztof Dziedzic for the availability to do the LEAF webinar today that was postponed due to the pandemic situation. And I ask everyone to put questions and comments in the chat. So in the end of the seminar, we can talk a little bit about today's seminar. Thank you very much, and I think that Dr. Krzysztof can begin with the seminar that I thank very much.
So good afternoon. As the head of LEAF, the Research Center, I am very pleased to introduce Professor Krzysztof Dziedzic, who is a teacher at the Poznan University in life sciences and also a researcher in the medical sciences at the Department of Pediatric Gastroenterology and Metabolic Diseases in the Poznan University, Poland. His research is focused on biofood with health promoting characteristics with impact on health and evaluation of the bioavailability of the food components, and is going to tell us about the dietary fiber impact on the bile acid binding in vitro digestive environment of buckwheat. Buckwheat is a material that is used nowadays very often to produce non-gluten or gluten-free products. Therefore, is a major trend in food, and I am sure that the talk is going to be very interesting. So I'm going to give the floor to Professor Krzysztof Dziedzic. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. So nice to see you again. Some of you I think that I met 2 days ago, and okay. Today I would like to introduce my last research. Actually, the research I've done during 10, maybe 15 years, because from my beginning, I started, during actually my PhD, I started with buckwheat, and I'm interested in buckwheat because we know that nowadays the people, they have a problem with overweight and obesity in Europe especially. So we are responsible for give them other opportunity to get more healthy food. And this is the reason why I started to work with buckwheat. And as you know, the subject of my presentation for today is that buckwheat grains as a potential source of bioactive substances. Okay, so I would like to give you some information about buckwheat cultivation. Actually, buckwheat was domesticated firstly in Southeast Asia, and that was around 6000 BC. And after that, it spread to Central Asia, Tibet, Middle East, and Europe. And in Poland, the tradition with buckwheat is almost from 500 years. And nowadays, the interesting in buckwheat still increasing because of some bioactive components of this plant, and we can use it for production different kind of pro-healthy food products. And as you can see here, 4000 BC was spread also in Balkans countries, Ukraine, Greece, and Russia. And so yeah, this is a map how, this is very interesting. As you can see, 1800s years in USA, this era, buckwheat was domesticated. So we know that in USA and North America, the most popular crop is a maize. So we are thinking that they should also start to produce some food products by using buckwheat, because they have also problems with overweight and obesity, and maybe also with different affluent diseases like civilization diseases, like heart diseases. So we should especially pay attention of the problem. Actually, buckwheat was popular in the Middle Ages, but later wheat and other crops replaced it. Problem in Poland, actually potatoes replaced buckwheat, because 500 years 500 years ago, we used to use buckwheat. After that, we started to use potatoes, and now again kasha, because buckwheat growth is known in Poland as a kasha, is still the interest of this kind of food is okay. Buckwheat is very well known. You can say that is a major agricultural crops. You know, the world leader in buckwheat production nowadays also is Russia. This is information from 2013, but I checked that they still enter when taking into consideration how many tons they produce per year. So Russia is still leader. What is interesting, actually, I have two special buckwheat. See on the left side. Okay, this is a common buckwheat. On the left side is quite different, and on the right side you see buckwheat probably you use here in Portugal from time to time also. Tartary buckwheat is more popular, I think, in Slovenia. This is one European country when you can buy some. Okay, on the right side, I put two names of buckwheat, Phagoperum tartaricum, but if you would like to use tartary buckwheat, we have to remember that the letter, Q of letter is quite different. So you can compare Phagoperum tartaricum with tartary buckwheat. We spell it quite different, so we have to be careful with this. Okay, yeah, I told you that common buckwheat means Phagoperum esculentum, is very popular in Asia and Eastern countries of Europe, like Slovenia, Croatia, Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. But in Slovenia also tartary buckwheat is a very popular, and if you ever try to go there, if you ever will travel to Slovenia, you will see in the shop you can buy many different products, buckwheat products, produced by using two species of buckwheat. There is many products around the world. In Japan, China, and Korea, common and tartary buckwheat are used mostly to prepare pasta and other pasta products. For example, in Italy, also pasta is very popular. In Slovenia and Austria, they used buckwheat for production of some common buckwheat and tartary buckwheat porridge. In Luxembourg, Germany, and Slovenia, also in Italy, they try to produce some kind of beer. We can't say that it's actually beer, but they say that it's something like a common buckwheat or tartary buckwheat drink. In France, they prepare some pancakes, but and in Russia, blini, they use buckwheat also, and they add their yeasts during production of this kind of pancakes. What is very interesting in South Africa, they used tartary buckwheat sprouts as a new vegetable, and they used these sprouts for salads and smoothies. But in Korea, they used for a non-alcoholic drink, and they used to say that this is something like a buckwheat tea. So they prepare this kind of tea by using buckwheat hull and sometimes buckwheat leaves. What is very interesting, in Japan, you can find also alcoholic drink preparing by using buckwheat grains. This drink has 25% of alcohol. I never tried, I don't know how this tastes, but I know that they produce this kind of alcohol. Okay, so, and at the pictures you can see on the left side, the picture A, this is something like a buckwheat porridge. On the right side, you have two kinds of pasta. On the left side is a tartare buckwheat pasta. On the right side is a common buckwheat pasta. The picture C is a blini from Russia, and the picture D is a pancake, buckwheat pancake from France. Okay, why buckwheat? So I would like just pay your attention for benefits, because you know this is a very, very, I think, important plants nowadays, because you can see modest demands on soil quality, so we don't have to put any mineral substances in our soil. So this is a plant which don't require special higher soil quality. Next, naturally eliminate. So it can be recommended, especially for farmers, the after crop plant. Not require fertilizers, and another not require pesticides, so we can produce food products, and we can say that they are ecological products. Okay, and next, providing extensive forage resources to both honeybees and pollinators. So you know that we have a problem with honeybees nowadays because of some chemical substances. The farmers, they use too many chemicals. So I think when we start to recommend buckwheat in Europe, probably the population of honeybees starts to increase. And another point, this is a gluten-free product, so we can prepare some gluten-free flours, and we can recommend, especially for people suffering from celiac diseases. Okay. Health benefits, yes, this is also very important. So reducing risk of cancer. So I will tell you later in the next part of the presentation why we are thinking that reducing risk of cancer. Of course, there is a few papers, previously papers were described this activity. Another point is the heart diseases. It's recommended especially for people with heart diseases, for diabetes also, especially second type of diabetes, and with some immunodisorders. So I told you that we can recommend buckwheat products, especially for people with some affluent diseases. And in my opinion, we as a scientist, as dietitians, or as people who are interested in food and nutrition sciences, we should recommend pro-healthy products, food products, especially not for people like consumers, but we should start to educate also our producers of food and farmers. So as you can see, yeah, composition, because I told you that there is we can recognize some benefits like cultivation benefits and nutritional benefits. So I would like to now compare two species of buckwheat, Phagoperum esculentum and Phagoperum tataricum. So as you can see, here is no differences between between one and second one if we regarding to dietary fiber content, starch, protein, fat, and ash. Actually, we can say that there are no significant differences. So the question is, what is different between Phagoperum esculentum and Phagoperum tataricum? So I have you can see at another pictures that also if we produce grain, bran, and flour, we can't actually observe significant differences. Everything is we can say almost on the same level. So yes, I would like to I will tell you later what is difference. It's not now, but I would like to just compare to other crops. So the first one is a buckwheat, and as you know, dietary fiber content in buckwheat grains is almost 30%. Proteins level is something like between 12–15%. The fat content is like a 3%, starch is almost 60%, and there is also some mineral substances. Okay, and this is the buckwheat. So if we compare to the other crops, you can see barley. Starch content is increasing, dietary fiber is decreasing, and proteins also is decreasing. Wheat also, starch is more than 60%. I mean, wheat grains is not wheat, flour is a wheat grains. And another crop is a rice. Almost 70% of starch, dietary fiber is less than 10%. You can see, and last one, maize. Starch is more than 70% and dietary fiber content is less than, I think, 3%. So this is the reason why in USA they have a problem with overweight and obesity, and we should educate people and we should give them opportunity to choose different kind of products. And despite that buckwheat, the taste is not nice. Sometimes the people say that it's bitter, it's too bitter. We can try to recommend them, and if they will know that is good for their health, maybe they start to eat as a prevention of some affluent diseases. They start to eat this kind of products like a buckwheat. So buckwheat is not just grains. We have buckwheat leaves, flour, stalk, and root. And we try it. I tried actually during my research, used root also, but there is a problem with cleaning of roots. So I decided to use just buckwheat leaves, flowers, and stalk. And actually buckwheat flowers we use for producing of some medicines. Buckwheat leaves we can use as a kind of tea. There is a many rutin and quercetin content, so there is this pro-healthy activity of this tea also. And stalk we can also use, but actually as a good source of dietary fiber. And okay, so we can use morphological parts of buckwheat as a plant, but we can also use growths. And now I would like to give you some information about growths, because growth is the most popular in Europe. So this is you can see here the feature of processing of buckwheat. As you can see here, we have some thermal processing, and the temperature is 130 degrees and under 5 until something around 6 bars pressure. So how it's working? Actually, you have here some tank, yeah? This tank rotates, and inside there is a steam and buckwheat grains. After this processing, the duration of the processing is like 1 hour. After 1 hour, we started the hood or remove outlier parts of buckwheat grains, and we get growths. And the question is why the producers of buckwheat growth used thermal processing. Because the efficiency of processing is much higher. So it's like a 70%. If they would like to use and to produce raw buckwheat growth, is it possible? And they do that from time to time, but the efficiency of this processing is much less. It's like a 60%. So from economical point of view, sometimes is, we can say, an economic. So they better for them is if they using processing. The price is actually the same, because if they don't use processing, they save energy. So we can say that maybe it's the same, but if we would like to save food, it's better to use this thermal processing. So very interesting is that this processing generates some byproducts, yes, and you can see buckwheat hull, for example. I asked producers how many kilograms of buckwheat hull they obtain during this processing, and they told me that this is many tons. So we started to produce some kind of dietary fiber supplement, because there is more than 80% of dietary fiber. So we produce it, and now it's possible to buy, so people can add during production of some biscuits, some cakes, some bread. You can put the buckwheat dietary fiber, and you can actually you can cause that the energy of final product will be much less. And this is very, very important. Okay, so as you can see, we get some products, yeah, like buckwheat grain growth and buckwheat byproducts. So you can see here grains, roasted growth, hull, and bran. So each company in Poland get a final product as a buckwheat growth and some byproducts. So we started to use byproducts also for food production as a good source of antioxidants and a good source of dietary fiber fractions. So yeah, I would like just you to see that depends on the sample, we can get completely different nutrients in our samples. So you will see insoluble dietary fiber, soluble dietary fiber. Yeah, insoluble dietary fiber, there is not too many grams, but I tell you later that buckwheat can be used also as a prebiotic. Proteins content depends on the if we want to use grains, roasted groats, hull, or bran, the content is different. And next is fat. There is not too many grams of fat because it's not oil plant. And starch. Yeah, starch is a very interesting. I don't want to tell you today too many information about starch, but I would like to let you know that there is a many also resistant starch after processing. So resistant starch is a fraction of actually soluble dietary fiber, sometimes insoluble dietary fiber, but this is a prebiotic. So we can use it for people suffering from some dysbiosis or something. So people who has a problem with bacteria, they should eat starch from buckwheat. Okay, and ash, some micronutrients also. Okay, what I would like to show you now, I would like I would like you to know that processing is very important because is responsible for creating of nutrients in buckwheat, and depends on which kind of product we would like to use. We can create different nutrients in our final product. So this is actually very, very important for producers of food and for dietitians also. Okay, there is in buckwheat there is many dietary fiber fractions contents. So you can see that we recognize their neutral dietary fiber, lignin, hemicellulose, and cellulose. So during my research, I wanted just to prove that dietary fiber is responsible for binding of bile salts. But after my experiment, maybe I just would like to show you the content of dietary fiber. You can see that the highest content of dietary fiber was observed in the case of husk, the lowest in broken buckwheat groats. Broken buckwheat groats, this is a byproduct which we used in Polish companies for flour production. So actually we can say that it's a byproduct, but we don't dump this byproduct. So we still use it. Regarding to previously study, we expected that dietary fiber will be responsible for binding of bile salts. And as you can see, our research showed us that is true, and you can see actually that buckwheat hull, this is a good source of dietary fiber, was responsible for bind of cholic acid, the oxyholic acid, and the hydroholic acid, and buckwheat bran also. And these samples characterized by very high level of dietary fiber. And the other side, what I would like you to know is that actually during our study, we observed something different situation, because we observed that actually we prepared some PCA, principal component analysis. We just analyzed many results, and we observed that actually not just dietary fiber, but also proteins are responsible for binding of bile salts, and that was something new in our research. So we started to do another experiment, which I show you later. Yes. What I would like to you to know, and what I would like to show you yet, I told you that the fat content in buckwheat products is not high. It's actually, we can say that it's a less. But I just was interested in some lipid-soluble substances from buckwheat samples, And during my study, I checked again two processing, the first process without thermal processing and the second one with thermal processing. And I wanted just to check what happened with fat, with oils from buckwheat. So you can see here on this figure that the number one is the buckwheat grains, buckwheat growths one, and a buckwheat hull one is a without thermal processing, and the second process, so the column fourth, fifth, and sixth is after thermal processing. So what we can see that we observe some differences. So we can say that also processing can create some nutrients in fat. So this is also very, very important information, especially for people with some who are suffering from cardiovascular diseases. Yeah, you can see also the results, and on the left column you have, if we just calculate for gram of lipid, on the right side gram of product. So it's also different. Why I started to work with phytosterols, because we know if the phytosterol content is high in the fat, we can protect people against some cholesterol level. Actually, phytosterols are responsible for block some specific proteins in our intestinal, especially small intestinal. So when they block the places, cholesterol from food can't transfer into the blood. So this is a very important, and I wanted just to check. And if I compare to other plants, we can say that in this fat, the content of phytosterols is quite high. Okay, we produce also some buckwheat cookies, buckwheat muffins, because we wanted to check during in vitro digestion what happened with this, with dietary fiber, and how our products affect on the bacteria. So we choose 4 species of bacteria, 2 harmful and 2 pro-healthy. And as you can, this is our model of in vitro digestion, and our analysis showed that actually we could recognize 1 to 3 kind of products. Completely different was control muffins, if we taking into consideration ingredients, and buckwheat muffins. Of course, buckwheat cookies and control cookies were quite similar. Completely other was buckwheat muffins and control muffins. Yes, what we wanted just to show here during this research, that buckwheat products can bind bile salts. We couldn't expect that Escherichia coli bacteria is a specific, and on the surface of this bacteria, there is located some proteins which are responsible for binding of bile salts. So in our opinion, Escherichia coli bacteria from colon was very helpful for binding of bile salts, and our products were also responsible for increasing the population of this kind of bacteria. We can say that buckwheat products can be used as a prebiotic also. Other research was about inhibition of HT29 cancer cell line proliferation. Actually, we wanted to combine all research because in one side, we know that buckwheat can bind bile salts. In the other side, we wanted bile salts are responsible for cancer diseases, especially colon cancer diseases. So it was very important to us to create a model where we can decrease the level of bile salts and where we help. And on the other side, we wanted just to how you to yeah, we wanted to give more antioxidants in food products. So we started to do our research by using fermenter that was in vitro digestion, as you can see. So we simulate the environmental in mouth, in stomach, and intestinal, small intestinal, and large intestinal. The problem was that that was a static model. Actually, it's much better if we use a dynamic model. So dynamic model can be the same, but we usually use few fermenters, which are combined by using some tubes. So in one fermenter, after digestion, when starch is digested, there is some specific membrane with that there is a proper size of membrane. So after digestion, the parts of starch can be transferred to the other side of membrane. So it's much better because we can observe just effect of non-digested product. Yes, we use, but we use anyway, we use just normal static model by using one fermenter. And yeah, our research showed us that that actually not just antioxidants, but also some amino acids are responsible for inhibition of cancer cell line proliferation, HT29 cancer cell line proliferation. So we observed that there is probably some synergistic effect. It's not just antioxidants, it's not just proteins, but together amino acids and proteins can effect on, and they can inhibit of HT29 cancer cell line proliferation from buckwheat. So that was also very interesting for us. And yeah, you can see many yeah, pro-healthy other information from other work that common buckwheat and tartary buckwheat, yeah, polyphenols, proteins, starch can be responsible for physiology of gastrointestinal tract, humans tract. So yeah, I think that this is what I show you today. I would like in the future, I would like to start thinking about new products, and I would like start to thinking about education, especially education for children from kindergarten, because in my opinion, the people should know about new, but we can say old products, because I told you that it was 500 years ago, very popular in Poland. After 100 years, popularity of this product just end, and now the product, the interesting in this kind of product in buckwheat increasing. So yeah, what I would like to show you now, some buckwheat products, and actually you can see on this picture bread. This bread was produced in Slovenia, and it was presented during conference 3 years ago. That was a World Buckwheat Conference. And what you can see that we can actually produce colorful products, especially for children, yes, when they don't want to eat healthy food, we can just show them that it's something colorful, and maybe they will able to take and to try this kind of food. Why for children? Because as you know, the content of starch is much less than in the case of wheat grains, wheat flour, and there is much more proteins, and these proteins can be useful, especially for mental development. Other products, the dark one, this is common buckwheat bread. You can see 3 colors of bread. I would like just let you know that the dark one is common buckwheat. The white one is a wheat, and the color like a yellow is tartary buckwheat. So we can create 2 kinds of doughs, and we can just put together, and we can produce the bread like that. Some crisps also, buckwheat crisps with cheese and with sesame. Next one with some nuts. Also, it's also pasta from buckwheat and wheat, 50 and 50%. It was very nice taste, and actually I tried this one, and you couldn't recognize any bitter taste. This pasta was very nice. 75% of tartary buckwheat. That was not so nice. It was more bitter, so I couldn't recommend for you, because I think that I don't like this taste. So I know this is very healthy, but the taste was not so good. Some biscuits, buckwheat biscuits, you can see here also, and cakes, buckwheat cakes, and other food products you can see. Okay, so I would like just show you some products like dark flour, pasta, light flour, buckwheat tea, buckwheat beer, buckwheat vinegar also. So you can see the content of routine. And as you know, routine, when is linked to proteins, and proteins are linked to starch, everything is more resistant for digestion. So it could be very, very helpful for us, because as I tell you before, the problem with overweight, obesity is huge nowadays. So we should thinking about the routine content. What is, and here you can see bread products, the A actually and B on the left side, the product A, this is a wheat bread, B is a chia and wheat bread, but C, D, this is C is a 100% of common buckwheat bread. D is 90% to 10% common buckwheat and chia bread, and E, this is 100% of tartary buckwheat bread. You can see that the buckwheat bread is more flat than wheat bread, but if we ask about people, about opinion, they told us that the taste was acceptable, so they don't care about the size of the bread, and they are able to buy and eat also flat bread. And I would like to show you now nutrients of this bread. So you can see, yeah, and I would like to compare to wheat bread also. So what we can see here is tartary buckwheat bread, proteins, the highest level, lipids, the highest level, and total dietary fiber, the highest level. Insoluble dietary fiber, the highest level, ash, the highest level also. And just, I would like to pay your attention for energy. So you can see wheat bread, the same size, is a 270 grams kilocalories per 100 grams of bread. In the case of common buckwheat is 229. In the case of tartary buckwheat is 236. So you can see that we can eat actually the same size of bread, but the energy intake is much less. So this is another reason why we should recommend this product. And also you can see total phenolic compounds, first column, second column, total flavonoid compounds, and total antioxidant active capacity, last one. So we have also tartary bread, buckwheat bread, and wheat bread, and we can see that tartary buckwheat bread is the best one, but wheat bread is the worst one if we regarding to flavonoid and antioxidants components. Okay, so the last thing is what I would like to show you today is that we can use also byproducts as a husk, not just as a dietary fiber source. We can use it also as an additive and natural antioxidants for preservation of meat. So our research was about meatball. We produce meatball and we put inside to meatball some husk, just husk and extract of husk. And we compare with BHT. You know, BHT is a butylohydroxytoluene, is a synthetic substances which we shouldn't put too much to the food products because if we put too much, it's dangerous for our health. So we compare buckwheat hull extract, and after storage in the fridge, after 6 months, we couldn't observe any changes. So that was very interesting. And this is why we can recommend for producers buckwheat hull extract yeah, more than BHT because it's for 100% natural product. In Slovenia, when I was in Slovenia, they told me that they put not extract, just raw husk inside, like milled husk, like 2% of husk, and they can keep meat in the fridge also longer, much longer time. So, okay, so thank you for your attention. I hope that buckwheat is going to be more popular around Europe, and maybe we with scientific group, we should thinking about some project about buckwheat, and I think it should be a start from farmers during producers of food and with some clinical research. Because in my opinion, buckwheat can be used as a pro-healthy food ingredients. And we know that nowadays we have a problem with medical aid. You know, in USA, South Africa, they need to pay from own pocket. They have to pay for private medical aid. when the situation not change in Europe, I think we can have the same problem. So we have to protect people against some affluent diseases, and we have to give them opportunity to use new food products with pro-healthy activity. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, yes, I try to answer. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for your interesting communication. I think we have some questions. Manuela, can you give me an idea about the questions we have here? Because I was
in the chat, I don't have any question. I would like to make one, just a little curiosity. The buckwheat bread you showed, the brown one is without any bread, without any wheat.
There was 100% of buckwheat. There was just 100% of buckwheat.
Okay.
And they put yeast. They put yeast for production of
but without wheat.
Yes, but actually with bread, this is the problem is depends on the source of buckwheat flour. You can use different bread. In my opinion, the best flour we can buy in Slovenia. They really very good. The producers are very good. There is one company which are from where I used to order buckwheat flour, and is much better than Polish one. So I think that why? Because they told me that they take this buckwheat grains from India. I don't know actually which part of India, but really the taste is quite different. It's less bitter, and the quality of bread and taste of bread is much nicer. So if we would like to improve our bread, we can think and we can start to order different buckwheat flour, and we can analyze what is inside, because we know that it depends on the region, the nutrients can be different, and the ingredients in this flour can be different. So chemical substances like proteins, like starch, the content of starch depends on the duration of the day, sunny days, and many agriculture factors.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions in the chat? I don't have any questions. Comments, questions?
Yeah. So if we don't,
I also sorry.
Please, Manuela, do it.
I also have the idea that buckwheat can be added to wheat bread to decrease the acrylamide formation during the process. Do you know anything about that?
But you mean wheat and buckwheat, yeah?
Yes, add buckwheat to wheat bread.
This is a good question, because actually we don't. If we use buckwheat as additives, we don't change taste. So taste is almost the same, but we improve our final product in nutrients. So this is a good way to get more pro-healthy products also.
Yes.
So I know that some people, they try to use, for example, buckwheat hull or buckwheat bran as additives to improve, I don't know, maybe dietary fiber content in final product.
To increase the antioxidant compounds, I think.
Exactly, antioxidants also, and we know that antioxidants are they cause that the starch is more resistant. So actually, this is a very good option for people suffering from second type of diabetes, because the glucose level is there is not a high peak, it's just a small peak, so we can control the glucose in blood by using this. Especially for people, we should recommend these products for people with second type of diabetes because of the glucose. So I saw research, the previously study showed, I think it was from Uppsala University with second type of diabetes, and there is a strong recommendation to eat buckwheat products like a buckwheat bread, especially for people with second type of diabetes.
Okay, we have here two questions from Facebook. One, I think, is related with what you just said, that is the intake quantities. Is there any limit? Because sometimes when you think that
A limit about a limit of
intake.
Intake, but you mean buckwheat or buckwheat? Yeah, I can tell you that we can't use extract. Nowadays, we can't use extract, that's true. There is no intake, but because I tell you just about advantages, but I have to tell you about disadvantages also. In Japan, there was a case that one child after eat buckwheat product, I don't remember what was there. It was probably growth. That one children died. So because of a very strong allergy. It was something like something with heart, and and in the other side, we should be careful when we just grind the buckwheat growth, because there is inhalation allergy also. So we have to keep mask during grinding, and if you put in internet, there is many papers about that. So we have to be careful.
Yes, the other question was related with toxic effects. So you just explained that. Are there any questions, more questions or comments? I don't have here in the chat. I don't have any.
So maybe I would like yet, because I didn't maybe tell you clear the difference between tartary buckwheat and common buckwheat, because we have common buckwheat in Europe, but we start to use tartary buckwheat also. Tartary buckwheat, there is much more antioxidants than common buckwheat. In common buckwheat, fat quality is much better because of phytosterols. So if we would like to use for people with high level of cholesterol, we necessarily should use common buckwheat. But if we would like to use for people, I don't know, because of some heart diseases or some problem with immune system, we should recommend tartary buckwheat. Yeah, this is.
Okay. Thank you.
Manuel, I think we have here another question from Christian, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. It's about the bitter taste of buckwheat that I have also.
Common buckwheat, actually, yes, common buckwheat, the taste is not so bitter like tartary buckwheat, because there is a less content of quercetin and rutin. This taste which we can feel is because of high content of rutin and quercetin in tartary buckwheat. So common buckwheat, if you would like to use like a raw common buckwheat, the taste is not so strong. But if we would like to use after processing, thermal processing, you will see that you could feel that the taste is more bitter, more typical for buckwheat. And I know that some people, they don't accept this taste. So some people just tell you that it smelled not nice or something like that, and they don't want to eat. So but in Sweden, because from Uppsala University, they told me from Sweden that they have some project like education for children, like 5, 6 years old, and they started to learn them how they should eat. So they give them buckwheat. So if they first time they eat, they don't like, but after a few times
They are
they
the
start
similar,
to eat,
yes,
because
okay.
you know it's in the mind, the taste is in our mind. So now they told me that this project is after 5 or 6 years, and these children, they don't want to eat sweets. So this is very interesting. So in my opinion, education is very important. So we have to educate our citizens around us, because the knowledge is, I think the knowledge about food and nutrition is not enough.